consequences be if they were really looking at stand closures or stadium closures? Would the clubs be willing to take that kind of drastic action? But the bottom line is the image of La Liga globally is being damaged so badly by discussions like this, and similar discussions like this are happening on in the media all over the world right now. I think that damage is huge, and this could be happening with any player, and it would be serious if it was happening with any player. But it just happens that it's happening with the brightest young star in La Liga and maybe the most exciting player to watch in world football right now, Vinicius Junior. And so, for the league as well, even just thinking about the league's kind of own interests, let alone sort of talking about kind of justice and what is right.
That's what I said. That's what the fuck I said. I swear I didn't pre-watch this. Again, you're just playing devil's advocate. Even if it's your own self-interest. That's what you would do. That's what you should do. I say all the time, like companies, I know they get blamed for like woke advertisement or whatever. That's not real to their values. Understand that, please. That is only, and I'm sure there's some exceptions, right? But a lot of the companies that go woke, it's a marketing ploy. It's a marketing gimmick. It's not real. It's not really how they feel. It's just about, how do I get some positive press? How do I maybe get some new customers? How do I tell these people, hey, our beer's for you too. Look, we put your people, your whatever on TV, so that you're with us too. That's all that it's about. None of these companies are like, I want to what, that's not what it's about. It's just about money. It's all about money, son, money. And so again, La Liga, in the interest of protecting its image, its profitability, and widening even more and jumping it back up to where the Premier League is or whoever, you should want to clean that up. That's an investment in your future,
They need to protect this star, this huge asset that they've got, even in their own interests, let alone anything else. And so, like I say, maybe now and maybe this time we're going to see further steps being taken, but it's a difficult one, and it's like I say, there are some issues around exactly what they can do, but ultimately, the clubs and the league can get together, and if they wanted to, they could take much more drastic action for sure.
How impressed are you, Shaq, with the way that Vinicius Junior has conducted himself over the last 24 hours?
Incredibly. Listen, he's not in an easy position. It's a very difficult position for Vinicius Junior, and one that he's trying to navigate.
And I think as well, a lot of the times people don't want to be the face of anything. People don't want to be, Jackie Robinson, he just wanted to play. Martin Luther King, like all these people, everybody, they have incredible courage. They're doing amazing things. And they're just thrust into these situations. And it's what you do in these situations that makes you, And like he's saying, Vinicius Jr. is doing an amazing thing here. Again, maybe he didn't want to be the face of trying to stamp out racism in La Liga necessarily. But he gets poked and prodded, and it turns into a point where it's like, enough is enough. Enough is enough, and if it has to be me, then it will be me. But I won't continue to be the victim here.
Doing so wonderfully well. I think to Alex's point, this racist abuse is targeted at Vinicius, not just because of the club he represents, not just because of how bright a star he is, but because he's been so vocal about the issues. Racists will attack those players who call them out, who are vocal about combating racism and seeing that the authorities live up to their promise within the game. And Vinicius is all of those. So hence the attacks won't stop. My concern here in going forward is that the league simply won't do enough. There won't be any impetus. We Spanish football is 3 games away from the end of the season. We lose momentum once the season is over, and as a result, come August, these issues will be long forgotten. We'll be discussing transfers and new signings and who's favourite to win the league and Champions League, and the underlying issues will remain. Tebas will continue to do as he has and deny in the way that he has. And to one of the earlier questions, Dan, about about the reporting of these incidents, and Tebas saying, well, there've been nine official reports, 8 of those from Vinicius. If I'm Vinicius Jr., what's my motivation to file a report at this point? Every single other report I've filed has warranted, has seen nothing happen. Even when I haven't filed a report and the abuse is there for everybody to see, as it was against Valencia, nothing is done. The referee stopped the game for an announcement over the tannoy to stop racist chanting, but in his report spoke about articles being thrown onto the pitch. So you can't even trust the referee to act.
Bingo. Yeah, see, I had heard that, or I had read that somewhere as well. So, again, it's like the referee didn't even do anything about it. Again, are they trying to sweep it under the rug? Or is it really not that big of an issue? Either way, I think that's a problem. That's a massive problem.
Accurately report racist abuse when it happens. So what's the point? If I'm Vinicius Jr., what is the point of me filing an official complaint? So Tebas can hide behind that or hide behind his hands being tied. At some point, either the league has to act, UEFA has to step in, or FIFA. I'll be honest, I don't trust UEFA or FIFA themselves. I think they're happy to take as wide a berth of this as they possibly can. And Spanish football will continue to kind of drag itself down up until Real Madrid or Barcelona simply walk off the field and refuse to take part and force the league into taking meaningful action. We just keep having these same conversations. We keep hearing the same diatribe from Tebas, and we just keep having to feel sorry for Vinicius Jr. while he confronts an issue that is a whole lot bigger than him.
Gustavo, Vinicius Jr. is a long line of stars that have come from South America. How much does the treatment that he has received since playing for Real Madrid, certainly over the last couple of seasons, going to put people off, put those young black stars coming over from Brazil or Argentina, how much is going to make them second guess going to play in Spain and maybe head elsewhere?
For sure it will contribute, because Vinicius is a star in Brazil. Vinicius is one of the best Brazilian players, maybe the best Brazilian player at this moment. He's a star for the Brazilian national team. He was a star playing for Flamengo, the club with more fans in Brazil. So everything that is happening, it will have consequence in the future, for sure. And Vinicius is very, very upset about everything that is happening, about the treatment that he has received from the referees. I can give an example also. For example, Vinicius has received this season 16 yellow cards. Only one yellow card was outside Spain. All the 15 yellow cards were here in Spain, in La Liga and Copa del Rey. Vinicius is very, very upset about his treatment in the fields of Spain. The problem with La Liga is that La Liga insists to say that they are not racist, and when they should act against the racists who are in La Liga. And Vinicius knows that, everybody knows that, but Javier Tebas, it seems that he really doesn't know that. But as I told you, Vinicius doesn't want to leave Real Madrid. He wants to stay here and fight against racism, but he's really at his limits.
What was striking, Alex, from these videos that we saw was almost the arrogance of it. The people were posting this on social media and knowing there wasn't really going to be any repercussions because, well, why would there? Because they've got away with it for so long.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, there is an issue with racism here in Spain, and it can be quite shocking, I think, for some of us who come from another country and come and live in Spain, and you see it in day-to-day life. There is an ignorance around issues of race, and one of the places that's expressed is within football stadiums. like I say, that of course is a much bigger issue. Who knows how long that takes to be addressed? But we can surely tackle what happens inside football stadiums. But yes, it's a bit of a vicious cycle in the sense that some of these fans, I mean, it's not any kind of justification whatsoever. It's completely unjustifiable. But they will see it as an attempt to wind up the player. They will see it as an attempt to incite Vinicius to lose his head or to get sent off, as happened here.
That is the narrative going around, pretty much, that you can't wind him up and then he'll kind of lose his head. Is it from those racist acts? Only Vini can say. But there has been that narrative floating around.
Mestalla. So maybe that's part of the motivation. It's hard to say. It's hard to get inside these people's heads. But yes, there's undoubtedly. I mean, when you look at this footage, it's shocking, it's distressing, it's upsetting. And when you see the quantity of the number of these videos, not just in this game at Mestalla, but these incidents over the course of the last year or so, and Vinicius put out this video on social media this evening, kind of compiling incident after incident after incident, using footage from all of these different stadiums all over Spain of the racist abuse that he's suffered. It breaks your heart, really, to see a young player having to go through this. And I think it's pretty remarkable that he's managed to kind of deal with it as well as he has, given that circumstance.
Xhaka mentioned FIFA. Infantino took to Instagram to pass his sympathies, I suppose, along to Vinicius. But he also said, this is why we need to implement these 3 steps. Firstly, you stop the match, you announce it. Secondly, the players leave the pitch. And the speaker announces that if the attack continue, the match will be suspended. The match restarts. And then thirdly, if the attack continue, the match will stop. And the 3 points will go to the opponent. Xhaka, this clearly isn't working.
Well, have we seen anybody do that? I'm trying to think of an instance in which they've done that anyway. I mean, I don't know the extent of power that FIFA have over La Liga, or, in cases that they can come in. Obviously, this is the rules that they're kind of saying, hey, this is what you should be doing or whatever. But, I mean, I'd be curious to know, firstly, how influential they can actually be. And then secondly, I don't know that anybody's done that. As well as you should definitely be punishing the clubs. I mean, that's the only way to incite that the clubs are way more vigilant and way more strict, is that they should not be allowing it. And if they're showing steps that they are going to take to try to mitigate that problem, they have to be real concrete steps. And again, from what I can tell, that just seems like a dream.
There's a couple of things about this and Infantino's statement. First of all, one of Infantino's earliest acts as FIFA president was to disband the anti-racism task force, the FIFA anti-racism task force. So that kind of clearly showed what his thinking was, that those systems that were in place back then were good enough. It didn't warrant revisiting. I think the issues are far deeper than just leaving those issues in place. But it kind of signaled his intentions as FIFA president to kind of steer clear of this. To your point, those issues are not working, and we can hide behind protocols as much as we want. But if the evidence has shown that those issues are not having an impact, then you have to revisit. Then you have to come up with new protocols. But again, without that racism task force, without any revisiting of those protocols, we're going to have the same issues, the same problems, the same inaction, and the same football administrators hiding behind some kind of false facade that again, continues to fail black players, continues to fail football at large.
I want to welcome in former Premier League referee Mark Clattenburg is with us. Mark, how much pressure is there on referees to act in these situations? And should it be down to the officials, or do they need help?
Of course, they're always going to need help. Dan.
Yep.
I think everybody has a.
I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. I wouldn't put it completely on the referees. However, the referees should have a much better manual and be able to run that much better than not even including it in their fucking report, you know? That's unacceptable.
A role to play in this. I looked at Infantino's statement, and this 3-point protocol has always been in place. It was in place when I was a referee with UEFA. UEFA were very strong, and they said that, you know, as a referee, we have a responsibility that if we have a player that is racially abused or we hear racial chants inside the stadium, we follow the 3-point protocol. And, you know, we saw games where there was a suspension for a few minutes. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we don't want to see teams walk off the pitch. We want to see great football. However, everybody has a part to play in this. And I think referees also have to be strong, that if this is multiple times in Spain, then the Spanish referees and the associations need to be strong and follow a plan that everybody accepts. And if the match gets suspended or cancelled, then this is probably the only way we can stop it.
How do you handle it, Shaq? Like, who do you give the responsibility to? Because it's a lot to ask of the players, it's a lot to ask of the referees.
No, it's La Liga. It's La Liga's responsibility. It's their association that it's running. And they are the ones that are basically managing how it's going to be looked at, what rules are implemented and everything else. There's no other person that it would lie on. You have to go to the top. Let's see what.
Most people have no clue that in
these commercials are like well placed. Kudos to them.
I think, well, obviously the primary responsibility is to La Liga, but they have shared that responsibility. Yeah. I continue to believe that FIFA, as a world governing body, have to have a more significant say around protocols and how leagues are to manage.
I mean, he's not wrong I do agree that, at a certain point, if it is like so toxic and untenable that FIFA do have to step in and be like, if you're not going to run this, then maybe you don't need to be, or whatever the case might be. Yeah, I could see that as well. Again, nothing happens until people's pockets are hurting. I think that Shaka Hislop was right, that there'll probably be a period of everybody intensely fucking hating Javier Tebas and La Liga, and then it'll go to transfers, and Bellingham will go to Real Madrid, and damn, Real Madrid looks tough again. Can they do it? Can they do Champions League? And La Liga will restart, and I think it'll be like a storm that they survive. And I don't say that, I'm not wishing that. I think that sucks, and I hope that doesn't happen. The only thing that I can see happening is that unless La Liga's pockets are genuinely hurt, unless from where their bread is buttered is genuinely hurt, then nothing will change. Because as long as they're getting money, I don't think that they'll try to weather the storm. They'll do little band-aids here and there. There won't be any major changes until the sponsors, until whoever's, providing the money deals, whatever the case is. And I think, honestly, Florentino Perez is normally insanely loud. That I've seen, I haven't seen him come out too strongly. So I think that's a weird one as well. Whereas if he was vocal about removing Tebas and placing somebody else that's actually going to do something, I think he's not being looked at. And I think there's a lot of places where it's like, I think these X amount of people should be doing better. Teams should be doing better. People, that's sad and disgusting. I don't think anything we can say will affect that. If you're fucking racist, what shame do they have? They don't give a shit. But they shouldn't be allowed. And so I think teams are to blame, referees are to blame. And Tebas has the majority of the blame on that.
Incidents such as this, their responsibility goes far further than just the World Cup. They have to send down direction, and whether that direction comes straight from them to La Liga or goes through UEFA, choose your path. UEFA as well have to let it be known that unless there is significant action taken in this league, then La Liga will face some sanction from them as well, whether it's a suspension of clubs participating, be it in the Champions League or Europa League, or whatever it may be, a reduction of numbers of clubs that qualify for those competitions. Mm-hmm. They have tools at their disposal that they can also use, because this reflects just as badly on UEFA. La Liga and Spanish football are member associations of UEFA. They are the governing body. They are the parent to this. They have as much a reason to see this dealt with in an appropriate manner as any. But while FIFA fails, while UEFA fails, while La Liga fails, it's left to the players. And as I said yesterday, I never advocate for the primary response to be for players to walk off the field. But if all those institutions continue to fail the game as they have, the players will be left with no other choice. And until that day, maybe when a Real Madrid or Barcelona or some club of the sort walks off the field and refuses to come back on, accept whatever punishment comes, and makes this into a real domestic issue for them, a bigger domestic issue than it is right now, you'll continue to see this lack of action. Right now it's becoming a bigger global issue than I think Tebas and La Liga recognizes. It needs to hit home, close to home.
I agree with Shaq 100%.
If that's true, man.
Larger governing bodies are not going to intervene, then, and we're leaving it to La Liga, who seem incapable or unwilling, whichever one path you want to go down, to deal with this.
Yeah, neither one's
I think it becomes incumbent on, in this occasion, the player's employer, Real Madrid, to protect the player or players. As Shaq said, be it, well, we don't like to see it, be it walking off the field, or indeed turning up at a game and refusing to play, and getting back on the bus and leaving. There is no game. Now, I know there's consequences, I know there's relegation battles, I know there's other things, but they're less important at this moment in time than the problems that these particular players are facing. And ultimately, Vinicius Jr. is an employee of Real Madrid, and his bosses, if nobody else is doing anything about it, really have to protect him and others who are facing this. If nobody else is going to do it, the club has to do it themselves. And until such a time that rattles the cages properly of those that need to make bigger decisions, I think we're just going to be having the same conversation, be it at the end of this season.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why people get so defeatist about it. I think that's why people are just like, I mean, I fucking hate racism and I condemn it every time and nothing happens. And once again, it just keeps happening. And a month later, it'll be the same thing. And then the month after that, something will happen. Oh, dang, that's horrible. And then we'll move on. And nothing has happened and nothing will change. And so that's why I think it's easy for people to get defeatist on this. And I hope that there is action and account brought to it. I think that there should be, obviously. And I think they face such a backlash that they are forced to do something about it.
Season, which as Shaq mentioned, is not far away, and as everything's brushed under the carpet and we roll out next year for the La Liga season again, do you think this is going to go away? It's not. It's not.
Alex, obviously, the La Liga is competing with the Premier League, if you like. How conscious are those in Spain and those around the league, are they of this situation dragging them down and down and just affecting their reputation going forward?
The best pairs? There.
I mean, they gotta know. They really do. They have to know. There's no way they don't. And if they want an answer as to the question, why are we being dragged down so much? I think it's this. There's a lot of different things, but this doesn't help.
Aware before, they are certainly aware now, because like I say, the kind of global scale of this particular story and this issue surely has to drive it home. And like I say, it's in La Liga's best interest, because like you say, they are looking to compete with the Premier League. They're looking to grow the league as a global product. And you cannot do that if your brand is tainted by association with racism. That's absolutely toxic for any brand. They can't allow that to continue. Just to go back to the idea of teams walking off the pitch, I think it would be an incredibly powerful statement if a team like Real Madrid did that. The Real Madrid players were ready to do that at Mestalla. Thibaut Courtois said after the game, if Vinicius had said he didn't want to carry on, he wanted us to go off, we would have all supported him in that. Vinicius initially said that he didn't want to carry on playing, but then after discussions with Ancelotti, with the referee, decided to carry on. But yeah, there is kind of too much responsibility really being placed on the players, and in particular on the victim here, which is Vinicius, because as I say, the reason all this has become such a big story is because Vinicius was brave enough to stand up and call these fans out. That's the only reason that this was brought to the referee's attention on the night. And that's the difficulty, I think, for referees as well, because in a lot of these cases with Vinicius, we're not talking necessarily about kind of mass chanting from a huge body of fans inside the stadium that a referee would necessarily hear or be made aware of. In quite a number of these cases, it's relatively, at least what we have documented, relatively small numbers of fans and this racist chanting being picked up by pitch-side microphones and things like that. And the referee might even not necessarily be aware of it at the moment. And so if that's the case, there's no opportunity to put into place these anti-racism protocols that we're talking about.
And obviously, Alex, looking forward, there needs to be some sort of self-policing as well, isn't it, amongst the fans?
Yes, of course. And that's part of the problem, because as long as these fans feel comfortable standing there among their own fans and doing monkey chants or calling Vinicius a monkey, and clearly they feel comfortable enough to do that, they're doing that, then it's not going to change. At the same time, I think it's difficult for the other fans around them. Of course, in an ideal world, you want the fans to challenge this behaviour and to call it out. But that's also not an easy thing necessarily to do in these kind of circumstances. Of course, that's the ideal scenario.
Right.
But in a lot of these situations, I think it would be quite, you can imagine putting yourself in that situation, how it might be kind of difficult and you wouldn't quite know what to do or how to handle it. So yes, of course, self-policing is the ideal, and you'd like to think that a lot of these fans would be called out. But like I say, being based here in Spain, there isn't the awareness of issues of race that you would see in other countries and that you would like to see in it. And it's definitely something that needs to change too.
Well, thank you very much.
So good story, good coverage, ESPN. I mean, again, there's always minutia that you can get into, but I think that's obviously a big topic to tackle, and I think that they did a good job there. Of course, not everything was mentioned, and XYZ. I mean, whatever. Nobody's perfect. Like I said, I think they did a good job here. And we'll see what happens. I mean, all we can do is keep an eye on it. All we can do is keep calling it out. I would hope that everybody would be calling it out. There's, like I said, there's been an uproar in Brazil. Spain, yeah, I've seen some Spanish commentators, take offense to, all of Spain is racist. And again, if you're having to have that conversation, then I think you're focusing on the wrong thing. Again, do I believe that all of Spain is racist? No, of course not. But I think I only speak about the sport, and they should not allow that in the stadium. That's going to be my only thing. I think definitely that Javier Tebas should absolutely lose his job for the idiocy that he's displayed. Clearly, I mean, if anything, again, just alongside sport, I don't think that he's serving as a good ambassador. At this point, maybe he's a true ambassador of what La Liga is right now. Deny, a victim blame, deny. Is that it, people like John Laporta and Florentino Perez, the two most influential ones, but all of those presidents and owners. Is Javier Tebas who they want to represent them as a league, as the face of the league? Like I said, is it apt? Maybe it's apt. But that's a shame. If it was me, if it was my company, if I was an owner, I would call for his immediate oust. But again, that's just me.